some cases don't just haunt investigators. They redefine what evil looks like. Tracy Wan's case is one of those. It started simply enough. A nurse didn't show up for her shift. But what investigators uncovered behind that absence shook even the most seasoned detectives to their core. Because the person who took Tracy's life wasn't a stranger lurking in the dark. It was someone she trusted completely. Tracy Wan was born on September 29, 1966 in California. For the first 14 years of her life, things were fairly normal. A home, a childhood. Then her parents divorced, and Tracy moved to Riverside with her father and older brother. New city, new school, new beginning. In Riverside, Tracy found her people quickly. Her neighbor Trish became her best friend almost immediately. The kind of friendship that deepens with every passing year and never really breaks. Her paternal cousin Tonja also lived in the same town. The three of them were inseparable. Rollerblading, shopping, even picking up a shared love for horseback riding. Life was good. Then something unexpected happened. Trish's mother married Tracy's father. Best friends became family. It felt like fate. As they grew up, Tracy and Trish trained together as nurses and built careers in healthcare. Tracy also fell in love. She married a man named Richard, moved to Arizona, and welcomed a daughter, Christine, into the world. But that marriage didn't last. They divorced, and Tracy found herself a single mother navigating life alone. Over the following years, Tracy moved across several states chasing better job opportunities, always trying to stay connected to her family back in California. Grief found her more than once. Her biological brother and 3 step-siblings all died within a short period, leaving Tracy's father and stepmother to raise their children. Through all of it, Tracy kept moving forward, one step at a time. In 2009, she remarried and relocated to Tennessee. 1 year later, that marriage ended too. After her second divorce, Tracy made her way to Alabama, specifically because her cousin Tonja was already there. Working at a nursing home, Tonja helped Tracy land a job at the same facility and get settled in a small town nearby. For the first time in a while, Tracy had a support system, but money was tight. Covering rent, utilities, and daily expenses on a single income was a constant struggle. She didn't even have a car. She rode the bus to work every day. Her daughter Christine lived in a neighboring state, and visiting her cost money Tracy didn't have to spare. So Tracy did what she always did. She made a plan. She started saving. She'd found a used car she liked in an online catalog and had her eye on it. She was getting there, slowly, steadily. Life was hard, but she hadn't given up. Tracy didn't show up for her shift. Her colleagues immediately knew something was wrong. She was a new employee, yes, but she had already proven herself to be one of the most reliable people on staff. She had never missed a day, never called in late, never given anyone reason to worry. Management called her landlord who lived nearby. He went to her house, knocked. No answer. Knocked again. Silence. He used his spare key and stepped inside. Tracy? Nothing. He walked into the bedroom, and what he found there would stay with him for the rest of his life. Tracy was on the floor, completely unclothed, blood on her head. She was gone. He ran outside and dialed 911. Officers arrived and quickly confirmed what nobody wanted to believe. This was a homicide. Tracy had 2 stab wounds on her back, defensive wounds on her hands, a cut on her head. The medical examiner confirmed that she died from blood loss, and that before she died, she had been subjected to hours of torture. Investigators believed her killer derived pleasure from it. DNA samples were collected from her body, the blood throughout the house, and other physical evidence, and sent to the lab. Results would take weeks. One detail stood out immediately. There was no sign of forced entry, no broken door, no shattered window. Whoever came in, Tracy let them in, or someone she trusted talked their way inside. Another strange detail. A handgun was found near Tracy's body in the bedroom. She had no gunshot wounds, and Tracy didn't legally own a firearm. So where did the gun come from? And if the killer brought it, why wasn't it used? Investigators interviewed Tracy's family and co-workers. Her ex-husbands were in other states with airtight alibis. They weren't involved. The focus shifted to reconstructing Tracy's final day. Tonja told investigators that her boyfriend, James, had driven both her and Tracy to the nursing home that morning to pick up their paychecks. They went to the bank to cash them. Then, at Tracy's request, James drove them to a used car dealership. Tracy had spotted a model she liked online and wanted to see it in person. Tracy loved the car, said she'd be buying it soon. James and Tonja dropped her off at home. She waved goodbye. That was the last time anyone saw her alive. Bank security footage confirmed the story. The dealership employee confirmed the visit. James's account checked out completely. The trail went cold. But investigators kept coming back to James for two reasons. First, a fresh, deep cut on his little finger. Experienced detectives recognize that wound. When a knife handle gets slick with blood, it slides, and the attacker cuts themselves. Investigators had seen it before many times. James said he'd nicked himself doing household chores. Second, that handgun found near Tracy's body, it was James's. He'd given it to her, he said, because Tracy had complained about a man named Richardson who'd been showing up at her place and behaving strangely. Police located Richardson. He was suspicious enough to look at closely, but his alibi held up. Another dead end. James was brought back in for questioning. Investigators used a classic tactic. They asked directly whether he and Tracy had ever been intimate. It's a trap question. If DNA evidence later placed him at the scene and he denied a sexual relationship, that denial could be used against him in court. James looked them dead in the eye and said, "No, she was Tonja's cousin. There was nothing like that between us." Investigators kept pressing, and James changed his story. James now claimed that after the dealership, all three of them had gone inside Tracy's house, and that a consensual sexual encounter had taken place between him, Tonja, and Tracy. He provided explicit details. He said afterward, he and Tonja left and Tracy was perfectly fine. Investigators didn't buy it. They suspected James had used the gun to coerce Tracy and then killed her. But James, even under the influence of substances, held firm on his innocence. A polygraph was offered. James agreed, then ultimately declined to continue the interview. But by that point, police had enough. James was arrested. Tonja was taken into custody as well for providing a false alibi. About a month after the arrests, with DNA results still pending, investigators got an unexpected call from prison officials. An inmate in Tonja's cell block wanted to talk. She told investigators that Tonja had confessed to everything. According to Tonja's own account, she had given James a prearranged signal. James had attacked Tracy, and together they had subjected her to hours of brutality, threatening her with the gun the entire time. Investigators received a written summary from the inmate, and then they came up with a plan. James was brought back to the station. Investigators took the inmate's written account, reworded it slightly, and read it to James, framing it as if Tonja herself was speaking, as if Tonja had turned on him completely and was prepared to testify against him in open court. Then they said, if you come clean right now and show some remorse, you might still have a chance. It was a bluff. They knew it, but James didn't. He broke, and what he confessed to left veterans of the homicide unit shaken. James and Tonja had only known each other for about a month before the murder, but they clicked immediately, bonded over drugs and, of all things, crime television. They were obsessed with CSI, crime scene investigation, watching it constantly. One episode featured two brothers who kidnapped a woman to torture her. After watching it, James told Tonja, "I've always wanted to do something like that." Tonja's response, "So have I." From that moment, they began planning. Their first idea was to grab a random woman from a supermarket. They eventually decided it was too risky. Better to target someone they knew, someone who would trust them, someone easier to control. Tracy was the obvious choice. She was grateful to Tonja. She believed in her. She would never see it coming. In the days before the murder, James deliberately cut back on his drug use so he'd be sharp enough to carry out the plan. After dropping Tracy off from the dealership, James asked to use her restroom. She let him in. Inside, Tonja gave the signal they'd agreed on beforehand. She punched Tracy in the face. James rushed out and tackled her. Tracy lost consciousness. They carried her into the bedroom, removed her clothing, and waited for her to wake up. What followed lasted for hours. Even investigators who had spent careers working violent crimes were disturbed by what James described. The cruelty was deliberate, methodical, and sadistic. When the time came, James picked up the knife. He stabbed Tracy in the back and near the neck multiple times. And as he did, he spoke to her. "I'm sorry, you're innocent, but you have to go." Afterward, they cleaned up the blood, showered together, and drove away. They had planned to burn the house down, but changed their minds at the last second. They went back to Tonja's place. James showed no remorse as he recounted all of this. If anything, investigators noted, he seemed proud. Weeks later, the lab results came back. James and Tonja's DNA was found everywhere. On Tracy's body, in the bloodstains, throughout the bedroom. There was no longer any doubt. Trial preparations took nearly 4 years. James's trial began in 2014. Prosecutors sought the death penalty. His defense attorney fought hard. He laid out James's childhood in brutal detail. A mother addicted to drugs who prostituted herself and left her children alone for days at a time. James and his sister went hungry. Their health suffered. Their mother was eventually murdered. James was placed in foster care, where the abuse continued. As an adult, he turned to drugs and crime. All of it was true. But a court-ordered psychological evaluation concluded that James understood exactly what he was doing. He was not legally insane. He was accountable. The jury found him guilty. He was sentenced to death. He appealed for years, unsuccessfully. In 2018, he was granted a new trial. Then, in a stunning turn, James dismissed his own attorney and told the court, "I deserve to die." Prosecutors offered Tonja a deal: testify against James in exchange for life in prison rather than death row. She accepted. At her sentencing, she wept. She said she was sorry. Trish, Tracy's best friend, who had attended every single hearing, who had sat in that courtroom through every detail of what happened to the girl she'd grown up with, stood up and faced Tonja directly. "I don't believe a single tear," she said. "She's been jealous of Tracy since we were children, jealous of everything Tracy had, everything Tracy was. Maybe she even hated her for it." In April 2025, James's sentence was carried out. Lethal injection. He told people afterward that for years, he had refused to say Tracy's name out loud. He said using her name felt disrespectful given what he had done to her. But in his final moments, he said, "Tracy, forgive me." Tracy Wan spent her life getting back up. Divorce after divorce, loss after loss, no car, tight money, states away from her daughter, and still saving up, still showing up, still planning her next step. She was killed by the one person she had every reason to trust. That's the part of this case that never leaves you. Tracy's enemy wasn't a stranger. He was standing right next to the cousin who was supposed to have her back, and that cousin handed her over without blinking. Thank you for watching. Take care.